Russia's military, a global powerhouse feared by NATO, or a crumbling giant trapped in its Soviet past. The truth might shock you. Is it truly as dangerous as it seems? Or has the image been carefully crafted to hide the cracks? From nuclear missiles capable of ending the world to outdated tanks struggling in modern battlefields, Russia's military is full of contradictions. But how did this superpower rise to dominance? And why is it facing surprising setbacks today? This is the untold story of Russia's military, the myths, the power, and the shocking truths no one talks about. Welcome back to the war. Russia's military power didn't appear overnight. It's rooted in centuries of bloodshed and ambition. To understand its modern day force, we have to rewind to the fall of the Russian Empire and the birth of the Soviet Union. After World War I, the Soviet Union emerged as a state hungry for military dominance. Under Joseph Stalin, the Red Army wasn't just a defence force, it was an instrument of control and expansion. In World War II, this strategy paid off. The Soviet Union didn't just defeat Nazi Germany on the Eastern Front, crush them. But here's a question for you. Did this success come at too high a cost? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you sacrifice millions of lives for victory, or was there another way? But while Stalin's military was winning on the battlefield, the cost was immense. Millions of lives were lost, infrastructure destroyed, and by the war's end, the Soviet Union was both a victor and a nation on its knees. The question was, how do you rebuild a military from the ruins of war? The answer, brute force and nuclear weapons. The Cold War redefined Russia's military. Facing off against NATO and the United States, the Soviets knew they couldn't win a conventional war. Instead, they poured resources into developing the deadliest weapons humanity had ever seen. By the 1960s, the Soviet Union had one of the largest nuclear arsenals in the world, including the infamous Tsar bomber, the most powerful nuclear weapon ever detonated. To put it into perspective, it was 3,300 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. But here's the twist. Even though these weapons were terrifying, they were also useless in a real war. Both the United States and the Soviet Union knew that using them would mean mutual destruction. So why build them? Do you think these weapons were a necessary evil for peace, or just a reckless show of power? Let us know your thoughts. The Cold War wasn't just about nukes though, it was a battle of perception. Soviet propaganda painted the Red Army as invincible, but cracks were already starting to show. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, so did its military empire. Suddenly, the massive force was splintered, underfunded, and outdated. The tanks, planes, and ships that had once terrified the West were now relics of a bygone era. The Russian Federation inherited much of this military power, but it came with a problem. The money was gone. Through the 1990s, Russia's military shrank, morale plummeted, and corruption ran rampant. Some even called it the military in freefall. But don't underestimate Russia, because this wasn't the end. By the early 2000s, under Vladimir Putin, the country began rebuilding its military might. Today, Russia claims to have one of the most powerful militaries in the world, and on paper, it's impressive. They have the largest nuclear arsenal, cutting-edge hypersonic missiles, advanced tanks like the T-14 Armata, which is touted as the future of warfare. But here is where it gets interesting. Many of these powerful weapons exist more in theory than reality. Take the T-14 Armata. Russia claims it's a game changer, but production has been plagued with delays and only a handful have been deployed. And it's not just the tanks. Russia's military faces issues with corruption, outdated equipment and poor logistics. These weaknesses have been on full display in conflicts like the invasion of Ukraine, where the Russian military struggled to achieve its objectives despite overwhelming numbers. What do you think? Is the Russian military still a superpower, or is it just riding on the coattails of its past? And what about the special forces? The Spetsnaz translates to special purpose. These elite units trace their origins back to the Soviet Union and were designed for unconventional warfare, sabotage and reconnaissance. What makes them stand out? Spetsnaz don't just train for physical combat, they're masters of psychological warfare. Take the 1979 Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Spetsnaz units were the spearhead, storming Kabul and eliminating key Afghan leaders in a matter of hours. And today, Spetsnaz units are known for their high-profile operations, like their role in Crimea in 2014, where they seized key infrastructure with no resistance, proving their effectiveness in hybrid warfare. Do you think brute force and fear are enough in modern warfare? Or does adaptability mean more? And are they on par with the Tier 1 Special Forces units like the SAS or Delta Force? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Despite the challenges it faces, it would be a mistake to underestimate Russia. Its military is adapting to modern warfare, investing in cyber capabilities and using hybrid tactics like misinformation and proxy wars to stay ahead. One example is its use of private military companies like the Wagner Group, which gives Russia deniability in conflicts while still expanding its influence. This strategy has been surprisingly effective, especially in places like Syria and Africa. Here's the question: can this combination of old school power and new age tactics sustain Russia's military dominance? Or is it just a short-term fix for deeper problems? So where does that leave us? Russia's military is a paradox. It's powerful but flawed, innovative but plagued by corruption. Its nuclear arsenal makes it one of the most dangerous forces on the planet, but its conventional forces often struggle in modern conflicts. The real takeaway is this: perception doesn't always match reality. The Russian military may not be as invincible as its propaganda claims, but it's far from being a paper tiger. As history has shown, underestimating it can be just as dangerous as overestimating it. Hi soldiers, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to check back in again soon. That's an order.